Hello survivors, and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. And in this video we are going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Betsy Ross, who is going to be coming to RTS as an Ultra Token Will character. Now this character is most likely going to be coming to the game as some sort of 4th of July celebration character, I would assume. As you can see, the visuals very America, quite old school on the flag, on the kind of leg patch, as you can see. And I think Betsy Ross was someone in American history. Someone will have to tell me. It's a name that kind of sounds familiar, if I'm honest. If we look at the character, using quite an old rifle on the back as well, you know, kind of standard. And yeah, visually looks really cool on the right hand side. On the left hand side, we can see in a bit more detail, she is using like a flag, a little mini flag as a weapon. She hasn't got that on the right hand side. It'll be so amazing if this was a non-attached weapon that came out that was just a flag kind of dangling down on what would normally be like a dagger or something like that. We'll have to wait and see what scope they decide to do there, but the visuals look really cool regardless on the left hand side here. Now if we look at the stats, at level 1600, limit break 3, she has got 48,379 attack, 18,607 defense, and 26,050 HP. She's a fast character. She's going to be at the control role, Gold Mythic of course, and she is going to be joining the Holiday Heroes Allegiance. Now Betsy Ross's Adrenaline Rush is called Flag Fighter. It has got a recharge rate of 55 AP, remove defense down block and defense up status effects from the target, and if they are of the tank role, they get normalized for 2 turns. This fighter gets focused for the rest of combat, make a critical attack against a line of enemies for 500% damage each. So obviously quite a lot going on here. The removal of defense down block and defense up status effects from the target just means that that target no longer is going to have defense boosts or defense reduction like potential. If the target is the tank role, the normalize for 2 turns is nice. This is going to come in before the damage too, so will the fighter getting focus for the rest of combat, but I don't think that means too much that it comes in before the actual attack. But then she'll make a critical attack against a line of enemies for 500% damage each. It will only normalize the main target if they are a tank. If you have like a line of tanks, it will still only be the main target, just be aware. But if you have a line of enemies to attack and one of them is a tank, I would prioritize the tank, just because then you will at least normalize them. Now this will proc the specialist skill as well, but then so that means you can potentially normalize the other character. However, this is just a better guarantee. Maybe it's 2 potential chances at proccing this against certain characters. That's obviously good because they have normalized resistance, and that way you could have a better chance of hitting that. Even though she is a control role character, just added potential chances. Okay, so here we have the Adrenaline Rush of Betsy, and what I will do is I will target the tank on the defense team where it would actually be good to normalize them. We have 2 potential chances, I think, of hitting the normalize here. I'll do the Adrenaline Rush and we'll see if we can hit it. We'll do 1 attack and we'll remove the debuff. You can see it did get resisted. You did see the resist marker pop up above Betsy Ross's head. That means the actual Adrenaline Rush normalized did get resisted. However, the hit did not. So it is 2 chances effectively to apply normalize because of her specialist skill as well. That is actually quite nice. Obviously, make sure you target the tank. Follow-up damage afterwards would obviously go up against a normalized character. In this case, that'd be very good. Because they're an Outlast, it means I could potentially take them out and they'd be down for the rest of the fight. Now, checking out the upgrades of Betsy Ross's Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 2, it gets an upgrade where this fighter gets focus for the rest of combat. At grade 4, it gets an upgrade where it makes a critical attack against a line of enemies. So initially, it'll probably be a single target crit. And then at limit break 1, its AP cost gets reduced to 55. Originally, I would assume it would be 66. Both of those AP costs are absolutely fine. But obviously, with 55, it does mean you do not need AP on attack, generally speaking, if the signature move has a 1-turn cooldown. At limit break 3, it gets an upgrade where if the primary target is of the tank role, they get normalized for 2 turns. This is pretty big, especially in the case of characters like Eris or other tanks that have resists on their kit when it comes to normalize. She will be able to bypass the 100% normalized resist buffs that are floating around as well, because she is obviously a control role character. She can bypass that and make it 60%. This is obviously, just like I say, quite nice. 2 chance to proc on that on the target based on her specialist skill and hitting the crit, as well as the application against a tank of the normalize in the first place. So I like the Adrenaline Rush quite a lot. When it comes to the normalize coming in first as well, is really good. It does mean that she could potentially take down a target but already have normalized them as well. Now the next part of Betsy Ross's kit we're going to take a look at is going to be the signature move, and it is called Protective Banner. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. Make a critical attack against a line of enemies for 350% damage each, but plus 1 attack to each enemy if the primary target has more current HP than this fighter. This fighter and a teammate get pain split for 2 turns and 25% halo for the rest of combat. This is actually not too bad. When it comes to the multi-hits, generally speaking off of turn 1, defense team characters are always going to have more current HP than this character. This would only potentially not proc further into the fight if you have got characters with massively reduced current HP. But this will again potentially proc the specialist skill of this character multiple times, because you'll hit the characters twice each, which potentially would be 4 potential procs, which is obviously nice. This fighter and a teammate getting pain split for 2 turns for the rest of combat is a bit weird, but actually I think it does increase survivability of Betsy Ross in this case, because if you have a support character on attack who has, like, let's say 50 or 60k HP, someone like Zachary, Mighty Hunter Zachary, he is going to be the one that generally is going to get the pain split, because pain split always focuses the person with the highest HP, which would increase Betsy Ross's survivability, and basically pain split reduces the damage that they're going to take, plus it splits it, so that's obviously great. And also Betsy Ross is going to get halo for the rest of combat, as will the character that Betsy Ross pain splits with. So let's say you're not using Mighty Hunter Zachary, who has kind of survivability and halo in his own kit. You could potentially be using like Steel on attack. It would be Steel generally speaking because he has high HP who it would split with, but he'd also get halo as well, which, like I say, could be nice. He's decent-ish on attack, and would obviously increase survivability regardless, but this is just going to make it even nicer. Okay, so here we are off of turn 1, and as you can see, we have got a high HP character on my attack team. It is going to be Akira, and what should happen is the pain split should go to Akira, and like I say, it just basically increases Betsy Ross's survivability, because any damage that she gets from being focused would be split with Akira. I'm going to do the signature move against the top line, and it will hit them multiple times, and we are going to have multiple chances to proc denormalize, as you can see, which is obviously nice. Now, she has got other parts of her kit that is proccing, that is doing other stuff, which is obviously nice. And you can see the pain split has happened, and it has gone to Akira. I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed to always go to the person with the highest current HP on the team, but I'm not sure if it's percentage based or if it is actually just flat who's got the highest. So for instance, if he has like 95% of his current HP, he'd still have high HP than anyone else, but the game could be like he's got not 100% of his current HP, whereas there are other people who have got 100%. I'm not sure how that side of things works, but generally speaking, it should go to someone with reasonably high HP. He's got halo for the rest of combat, and so has Betsy Ross. This is actually pretty cool. Now check out the upgrades on the signature move, and you can see at grade 3 it gets an upgrade where it gets +1 attack to each enemy if the primary target has more current HP than this fighter. That's what we saw in that clip. It's generally always going to be the case, especially early on in the fight. She only has 27,000 max HP, which is not much compared to a defense team character. If you're coming up against a defense team character that has 27,000 max HP or lower off the start of the fight, you're pretty pretty good anyway. At grade 5, you're going to get an upgrade where this fighter and the pain split teammate get 25% halo for the rest of combat. This is actually just really nice. Survivability, even just for Betsy Ross, is good, but also for the other character is cool. This does mean there could be some better like support character matchups that could be really useful in the fight, and this would generally go to support characters on attack, so commands, those safety nets when they have the revives like Mighty Hunter Zachary, or like bodyguards if you're going to use a bodyguard on attack. Like I say, not too bad. A limit break to it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. Not at LB3, so always nice. And obviously you do want this to go off as early as possible in the fight. She gains AP, she gets survivability because of the pain split, and obviously she has the halo on top, does a bit of damage, potential procs on her special skill. Earlier is better when it comes to this signature move, as is generally the case. So yeah, quite a nice signature move. More of a setup signature move, of course. Normalizing characters, a line of characters to proc potential. There are plenty of characters out there that when you normalize them, they're in a lot of trouble. She is fast as well. She could hold a weapon that ransacks, so if they did already have halo and so on and so forth, she could steal that away, or any other buffs they have. So yeah, quite nice when it comes to the usability within Betsy Ross's kit. Now, of course, Betsy Ross is going to be an Ultra Token Wheel character, so we are going to give away some Ultra Tokens. We are going to give away 10,000 Ultra Tokens to one lucky winner, and all you have to do is leave a like on the video and make a comment down below. Tell me who Betsy Ross is, if any historians, American historians in chat, or let me know about what you think about the character, the visuals, so on and so forth. Thank you very much for entering the giveaway. Best of luck if you enter. Now back to the video. Now, checking out the mythic abilities of Betsy Ross, these are her passive skills. She is, of course, a control role character, so she is going to get precision, where enemy resistances are 40% lower against this fighter. The next passive is called Cleansing Presence. When attacking an enemy with a negative status effect, 100% chance all teammates preemptively recover from one negative status effect. This is awesome. This does mean that she can potentially cleanse an entire team of like bleed or something like that. That's really, really cool. Now, she should be able to do this just with her specialist skill, proccing. We'll see if that's the case. I'll put like Zachary on a defense team and I'll attack other people and see if that's going to actually be how it works. Now, the next passive is called Bloody Normal. When this fighter applies Normalize, 100% chance the target gets 2,000 bleed damage plus 200 bleed damage for each negative effect on the enemy team for 10 turns. This is a bit of a strange one, honestly. The bleed doesn't seem that good, but at the same time, it lasts for an extremely long time. Isn't hard to apply, but unless there's a massive amount of negative status effects, this bleed isn't going to be that high. I think we saw one in the previous clip, it was like 3,800, so it isn't really going to be doing much. 200 plus 200 bleed damage doesn't seem that high at all. If it was plus 2,000, maybe, but plus 200 doesn't seem that high at all. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's going to be more negative effect based attack teams coming out, and Betsy Ross could fit into that pretty well. But at the moment, I don't think that's the case. The next one is called Head Injury. When attacking, 100% chance with equal odds to either stun the target for 1 turn or daze them for 2 turns. I think we saw both of those happen on the signature move before. I think I stunned Angel and I dazed Nor. Now, of course, she could potentially stun and daze a character because on her signature move she can hit people twice. So she could stun the first time, daze the second time. That would actually be pretty good. Okay, so we are going to start the fight here, and what I want to see is, can I remove the bleed on all my characters with either her stun or daze in her own kit, or the normalize? That's what we want to kind of check out. I'll like check out the stun and daze. I can do it on the leader, so I'll do the signature move, and it does stun the enemy, but it doesn't count as me attacking an enemy that's already stunned because the stun comes in after the damage. Now let's check out the normalize. Okay, so this time around I will test it out against the top character here. This character has less HP than Betsy Ross now, so she shouldn't hit the character twice. And what we want to see is, does the normalize proccing, she would have to hit the crit, but does the normalize proccing obviously cleanse the characters of bleed? Let's have a little see. And we hit the crit, and the bleed is still hit. So there has to be a negative effect from someone else on the enemy team already. The one she applies doesn't do the cleanse, which makes sense because she has to hit the normalize, and obviously the stun and stuff is based on her already hitting someone. So it does make sense in terms of the order of operations. But as you can see, we have got characters that are already controlled. I could attack those instead, and then just doing a basic attack should cleanse my bleed on my team. Let's see. That's exactly how it works. Now, if we go over the upgrades of Betsy Ross's passives, you can see at grade 1, she gets the first half of Cleansing Presence. When attacking an enemy with a negative status effect, there's 50% chance all teammates preemptively recover from one negative status effect. At grade 2, there is the first half of Precision, where enemy resistances are 20% lower against this fighter. And at grade 3, there is the second half of Cleansing Presence, making a 100% chance all teammates preemptively recover from one negative status effect when Betsy Ross is attacking an enemy. This should happen with every single attack she does, so with her signature move she could potentially make this happen 4 times, which is obviously nuts if I'm completely honest. If we move on to grades 4 and 5, you can see the first half of Bloody Normal comes in at grade 4. When this fighter applies Normalize, 50% chance the target gets 2000 bleed damage plus 200 bleed damage for each negative effect on the enemy team for 10 turns. I'm actually going to confirm with Scopely that this number is correct. 200 just seems so low, but potentially they think because you're going to be stacking a lot of negative effects, this could be okay. But there are characters with like 150 to 200,000 HP, so I'll just confirm with them. I'll try and leave it in my top comment. It could meant to be like 200% bleed damage, like based on her attack, or I'm not 100% certain. The first half of Head Injury comes in at grade 5. When attacking, a 50% chance with equal odds to either stun the target or daze them for 2 turns. Stun the target for 1 turn, or daze them for 2 turns. This is nice, honestly. It's just more control. Either of these are good. Both of them are going to stop a character from being able to use their signature move, but daze is only going to be able to stop a character from being able to use their signature move. Stun makes them not be able to do anything, so that's obviously how that works. Moving on to limit breaks, you can see at limit break 1, the second half of Precision comes in, making resistances 40% lower against this fighter. And at limit break 2, the second half of Bloody Normal comes in. When this fighter applies Normalize, now 100% chance the target will get that bleed damage plus extra bleed based on how many negative status effects the entire team has for 10 turns. And then at limit break 3, she gets the second half of Head Injury. When attacking, now 100% chance with equal odds to either stun the target for 1 turn or daze her for 2 turns. The actual control here is nice, especially because she is a control role. It just means she's got a better chance to apply this. There aren't too many characters that can daze, which is obviously really nice to actually do against an enemy, because daze stops a defense team character from generally doing one of the most powerful parts of their kit. A lot of defense team characters have very, very good signature moves and just okay to decent to sometimes very good rushes, but a lot of the power is generally in those signature moves. Betsy Ross is going to be good at obviously disabling that potential, whether it's the stun that hits or the daze. So yeah, the passives are quite nice. The bleed is the only questionable part, if I'm completely honest. The other parts I like a lot. The cleanse seems really interesting. There are quite a lot of characters out there that can do things right now, so she can potentially like cleanse Normalize on your team, cleanse infection on your team against like an alpha defense team, so she has pretty decent usability by the looks of things. So yeah, nice passives, work well with Betsy Ross's kit. Still in that kind of support role on a team, but it does definitely make sense. Now, I've talked about it a little bit, and we've seen it proccing from time to time. The specialist skill is Normalizer. It's the same one that I think it's Yuletide Ezekiel had as the first ever, and obviously Eva and Ghost had as one of the more powerful characters. When this fighter performs a critical hit, they apply Normalize for 1 turn to that target. She has chances to proc this multiple times to that SIG because it can hit targets multiple times. Obviously, like I showed with the Adrenaline Rush, you can apply the Normalize from the Adrenaline Rush plus potentially proc this. So if people do have resist, she has double chance to proc. So yeah, definitely a good specialist skill. Normalize is just always nice. Stopping from specialists, especially particular specialists, from going off is great. And obviously, you can keep characters down. You can stop them from having their decap resistance and then decap them afterwards. So definitely some decent team up usability of Betsy Ross. If you like, start the fight with her signature move and she normalizes someone who does have that decap resistance on their specialist skill, like Halo 2 or something, you can follow it up with like Mercer and just get that blitz in when it comes to hit the fact that he can decap. And there are characters out there that normalize quite early on in the fight. She's going to cleanse that normalize so that that decap's going to actually hit. So yeah, some potentially pretty decent team ups here with Betsy Ross. Now, Betsy Ross does not have an attached weapon, but I do think something like a ransack, more support-based weapon would be good. something that's going to either buff teammates or it's going to strip the buffs off of enemies would obviously be the best way to go. You could use a control-based weapon too. I think there is an impair weapon. There's the I think it was the Holiday Heroes weapon actually has impair. So that's obviously usable because she'll have multiple chances to proc this. She doesn't do impair in her own kit anyway, so it would just be extra potential negative status effects, which would be an extra bleed, but not that much extra bleed as it stands. But there's just less that an enemy could do in that case. So for instance, if you did hit the daze on the attack because of the 50-50, that character could still rush, whereas if you had that weapon, they couldn't. You know, that's just one thing to note. So that was just the first look at Betsy Ross, who is, by the looks of things, a 4th of July celebratory character. She is going to be available on the Ultra Token wheel. Any info you have to share with me when it comes to, like I said, the history, Betsy Ross and so on and so forth, it's just a name I recognize, and the kind of visuals that we have here is kind of old school, if I'm completely honest. But do give me your thoughts in the comments on this character down below. Best of luck if you do enter the giveaway. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.